Good morning and welcome to Perspectives. This morning on the program, we're looking at matters arising in Kaduna State, and this time we're going to the health sector. We all do know that Health Professional Forum and the government of Kaduna State are on collusion. And when I say collusion here, it means that we have a face-off that's going on. Health professional on strike in Kaduna State. And worried about what the consequences of all of this, the implications of it on the health sector. Our government is looking at it and to share light with us on why go on the strike. Of course, in this period, in this time, in this very, very, difficult time in the world, why in Kaduna State our health workers will choose to go on strike. To share light on these, discuss more with me, I have with me the Christiana John Bauer. Christiana John Bauer is the Secretary, Nigerian Labour Congress, Kaduna State. Also Deputy General Secretary, National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives. She's in the studios with me, and we'll be looking at issues surrounding the face-off. Christiana John Bauer, good morning. Glad to have you.
Good morning, Tony, and good morning, our listener.
All right, I'll just go straight to hit it head on. And this is about at this time when the world itself, is going through very, very difficult times about how to, to the barest minimum, bring the COVID-19 pandemic, to its barest minimum to save lives and, of course, get our lives, going again. Kaduna State Health Workers Professional Forum, and that's about health workers in Kaduna State, will choose to go on a strike action at this time. Why?
Thank you. And I want to make this point very clear. The Kaduna State Health Workers Forum comprises of the NMA, the ARD, the pharmacists, the lab scientists, the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Medical and Health Workers of Nigeria, among others, health professionals forum who work with the Ministry of Health and in the hospital. And when the cut of salary in the month of April 2020 took place, we were not consulted. We were not carried along on the decision to cut the workers' salaries. But because of the situation we found ourselves and the country at large has found itself with this pandemic, we persuaded our members, we calmed our members down and asked them to continue with the work, which they work in the month of May without anything. So we wrote a letter to His Excellency telling him the cut in the salary in April should be refunded to all our members and to not to further cut the salary in the month of May. Reason why we wrote this letter was, if you look at the health sectors, they are still going to work despite the lockdown. And some of them have no vehicle. Even though the hospital provides some buses to go around, you can imagine that some of our members have been conveyed to hospital in hillocks with their clothes, with their white uniform, which is unacceptable. We now ask them to continue with the work. Some of them have been harassed by the security agency on their way to work because they are supposed to be at home. But we render this sacrifice because we know that our service is that of humanity, and we decided to take the human aspect of it and go to render these services. But when we saw that our letter that we sent, we were not even invited for a meeting. So we were just arranging for another meeting. Then the salary of May was paid with the cut in a salary of May again of 25% of all the health workers again. We now say, no, we can't take this anymore. And we went ahead, we met, and at that meeting we resolved that since our letter, we were not invited, then let us go on warning strike. This is not the full-blown strike.
I know.
Our strike, the letter we sent to His Excellency, that communique has ultimatum, 21 days ultimatum which will expire on the 5th of next month. So this one is warning strike. Warning strike is to let the world, let the public, let the citizen know that there is a grievances between the health workers and the government.
No,
and we have not come to round table.
You said this is a warning strike. Yes, I agree that it's a warning strike, but the damage and that that it would have done, even when you go on a full blown strike, would still be there. But let me talk about the salary courts. You talked about salary court was said government said it would it cuts across from all civil servants in the state would have to part of the sacrifice, because we do know that revenues to government in this period is certainly dwindling and going down. And so civil servants in the state would have to make some sacrifices. And here we are with health workers in Kaduna State who do not want their salary, to be cut.
I want to make this point very clear that all of us, we have families in the house. There are things you want your family to do. The way and manner you go about it, you will meet with resistance in the family. But when you carried your family along, even if you have something you want something to achieve, you hide what you have in your mind. Allow your family to bring their own ideas. Maybe the ideas of the family members may be better off than you. We are not saying that we cannot sacrifice. If we were carried along and we know what this money is being done, because if I'm giving donation, I should be giving free will donation. And I should know what the money is going to be used for. We are not carried along, and that is why this resistance is there.
There's
and
a
if
government
you excuse me,
state.
there is a government,
yes,
but the government, the
yes.
salary is our right. This is the right of the workers. That is the right of the workers. So if you want to cut this salary,
and the key word that is used here is sacrifice.
Sacrifice
is the key word that
then the government. If you look at sacrifice, we have already sacrificed more to go to this work, and our members have been infected day in day out because they are meeting with patients who have virus and they don't know. Only the people that have been infected in Kaduna State are not people who are working in the isolation. They are people who are working in the clinics, in the hospital, because we do not have gadgets, have simple PPEs like hand gloves, like disinfectant, like face masks in the hospital. If not for now,
that you can afford without waiting.
It is not our duty to afford it. It's the duty of the management to afford all those things in the hospital. Ours is to go and render the work. In the course of our work, a lot of our members have been infected in the course of their work. And when we talk, people are saying insurance. Can you insure somebody without the person filling a form, without a person's certificate, having a certificate? See, even the gratuity that people are supposed to collect from government, people have died. People have lived service for years. They've not gotten it. So these are things that are that you have even right over it. The insurance that we don't even know anything about. Christiana, is it the one that will go and claim?
Let me just do a walk back with you, and that's talking about your profession. This is a sacred profession.
Yes.
It's not like any other profession.
Yes.
It's a very sacred profession.
Yes.
Because it calls for man's humanity to man. Where you are in a profession where it's taking care of people. Is keeping hope alive for someone that even knows maybe dying, and all of that. The Sharaka, who brought about the nursing profession, looked at some things about it. Must be people that have human care and concern that should be in this profession. And we remember Florence Nightingale in the Crimean War, how much she gave hope to people even when they were dying. She was caring. All of this is what this profession entails. Is it all about money that you're?
It is not all about money. It's all about a government that is not responsive to its citizen. It's all about a government who do not consider anybody as anything in this state.
How can that
it's
be
all
fair?
about a government that does not carry people along.
How fair
it's
can
either
that
the governor does not know that his people, his lieutenants, are not doing what they are supposed to do, or the governor has failed giving deaf ear to the plight of the workers. Before now, let me tell you, before this COVID-19, resident doctors were on strike. It was because of this COVID-19 that they suspended the strike and resumed work. Then coming back, they were on strike. We were to join them because the pay was very minimal. If you look at the north, I am telling you, Kaduna is one of the state that is not paying its health workers.
But you are working for the state government. That is what this is all about.
We are working for the state government because our families are in Kaduna. I feel the pain of the public. I feel the pain of the citizen. All of us feel their pain. But it is not by threat. We have given this ultimatum. We are on warning strike. They are threatening our members of SAC. then let the governor sack everybody.
Comrade, in this situation, we do know about the COVID-19 pandemic and how taking lives and all of that. Now you're on strike, warning strike, as you say. We also do know that citizens with various illnesses are back home and can't have access to to medical facilities. Are you compounding what we have on ground?
Let me be very honest with you. We sympathize. I want to tell the citizens of Kaduna State, well-meaning citizens of Kaduna State, that we feel their pain. That I'm talking on this studio, I have a daughter who is supposed to even go for checkup in the hospital, but because of this pandemic, I couldn't even allow her to go to the hospital because she has a cancer. I wouldn't allow her to go to the hospital. I don't know what she will go and contact.
And so many others like her.
So many others like her.
Yes.
So I am telling you, we feel the pain because we know if the government and his family, the government officials and their family are sick, they know how to get treatment. It's the masses, but we are calling on the masses to bear with us that this fight is not going to last forever.
How can you make us understand what your plights are in this situation that you're putting us?
Our plight is we don't even want even the citizen coming to the hospital to be contacted with the disease that they don't even, if they are in their houses, they will not contact it. Because if we have some PPEs to work with in the hospital, the spread too will reduce the rate of contact. If a healthcare worker now, in the course of her duty, contacted this disease and she attend to another patient, she will transmit that disease. So we are calling on the citizen to call on the government to provide this minor PPE that is needed in the conventional hospital. They are doing well in the isolation. Let them do more in the hospital.
And in government,
the issue is
government has also been magnanimous enough to say that there are increases of allowances, so to say, by grades that we're getting. 10,000, 15,000, 5,000, and all of that. And insurance too for health workers.
The citizen of Kaduna State will be the judge on this case. If you remove 25 naira from me and you are giving me 10 naira, what does that mean? Removing 25 naira and you are adding me 10 naira, you are still removing 15 naira from my salary. So they have gone on here to say to people that they have increased, that other health workers, that is the ones in the hospital, will be given 10% additional. The 10% additional is not on their own salary, but when they minus the 25%, they will not give them 10%. It's minus, it's still minus 15. It's still minus 15. Then the 15,000, the 20, the 10,000, the 5,000 they say they are giving people. I want people to know that it is not only health workers. We have volunteers. We have people in the committee of the tax force that have been paid these allowances. It's not the hospital nurses or the hospital doctors or people working in the hospital. It's the people in the isolation and the people in the COVID-19 committee. So people should know this. It is not health workers. And while workers, they say other in the other hospital, they will add 10%. After deducting 25%, they are adding 10%. That is the point I want people to help us judge.
That also makes a difference.
You run Peter and pay Paul.
That also makes a difference.
It doesn't make any difference.
Other civil servants are not getting that.
But other civil servants too are not going to work. Other civil servants are not exposed to danger the way the health sectors are exposed. Other civil servants, if they stay at home, the rate of contacting this disease will be even zero level. But the health workers are going to work. They will carry this disease from their places of work, infection from their places of work, coming back. A wife can infect her husband, a husband can infect his wife, and the children. His Excellency went on isolation. Some of the government officials went on isolation. They know the trauma they went through. They went into. So it is traumatizing for a family. Every day you are afraid. Let me not, God help me, let me not contact this disease. Let me not go back and infect my family. Not infect my patients. It is very traumatizing. So even for that trauma, the health workers are going on daily. Is enough to even motivate them the more. I don't want to compare Kaduna State with another state because everybody has his own peculiarity. But when you look at other states, they are motivating their members. Motivation, my brother, doesn't mean money. Motivation is tapping your even child behind. You have done well.
Are you taking this time out, that because of what is happening, to really, hit government with your demands, and that all of this has to be attended to?
We have other demands. We have other demands. We are not talking of the demands that were there. We have this time around, is the demand we have is only 3. 1, refund our 25% for April and May back to our members. 2, provide us with the necessary equipment we need to work with, the PPEs, hand gloves, disinfectant, face masks, and the rest of them in the hospital. Let our member work with it. 3, no further deduction in our members' salary. These are just what we are asking.
Where's the sacrifice you are making into all of this?
Sacrifice. The sacrifice that we are going to work. We are going to work. It's sacrifice. The work we are going on a daily basis, we are going to work, is enough sacrifice. Others are staying in their homes. While we are going to offices to do work, it is enough sacrifice. I don't know which sacrifice that the government or the people want us to do more than the one we are doing. And when you talk of insurance, my brother, it's only the living that gets something. If I know family that have died, that they have since 2014, they've not been able to get their death benefit of their family up to today. Is it the insurance? Give us what is our own. Hold what you have. We are comfortable with what we are, and we are not asking for too much. Just these 3 points that I have mentioned is what we are asking the government to do.
The program is Perspectives, and it's coming to you on Invicta 98.9. And this morning we're looking at the face-off, so to say, of health workers in Kaduna State, professional health workers and government, and of course maybe trying to offer solutions into all of this. And while we were at it with Comrade Christiana John Bauer, Secretary, Nigerian Labour Congress, Kaduna State, Deputy General Secretary, National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives in the state, Dr. Stephen Akao Kachi walked into the studios. Glad to have you, Doctor, with us.
Thank you for
having me.
All right,
just before you came into the studios, we were heated, so to say, with Comrade Christiana John Bauer on what the demands, so to say, of the nurses in Kaduna State. And of course, you are a doctor. And so, we're talking about this time that the whole world is like locked down, and this time that man's humanity to man is to be shown, and yet we have a strike in Kaduna State at this time, and we're all asking the question: where is the sacrifice in all of this? Where is human kindness to all of what is showing, and why must it be at this time?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I guess the admonition should be to both parties, the healthcare workers and then to government. I will explain that. Kaduna State healthcare workers are one of the least paid across the country, in the Northwest in particular. And
it's a matter of choice, yeah. You choose to work, you choose to receive the pay.
And as at today, they have had to work under difficult circumstances long before the pandemic came. Now with the pandemic, all over the world, across the country, healthcare workers were motivated. Now let me explain this. If you have a workforce or a military that's supposed to be going into battle, your best bet is to have them as motivated as possible. Now, that is because you need them to be at their best to be able to produce the goods when it matters. For us, it's not even about, we just don't feel like complaining, really. In sincerity, it is even in the interest of the general public that these people that you're seeing are, it's because we don't have we don't have what we call an audit of our practice here. That people don't care. Somebody goes to the hospital, he dies, okay, fine, he's dead, that's all. The point is, there are certain things that are avoidable in a hospital setting if people are motivated. You can have people in the hospitals. You come to hospital, you're ill, and you're happy you've seen a healthcare worker, but he's as good as nothing to you, as it's better you didn't even meet anybody there, because that person does not have the capacity to give you what it takes for you to remain alive. So the point we're making is that you see physical beings sitting somewhere doesn't mean that they are effective in whatever they are doing. So my call is this: the deduction in 25% was simply demotivation. If we cannot motivate, largely because we don't have the resources, incentivize whatever we're doing for the healthcare workers, why not just let them be where they are?
No, it cuts across. It cuts across.
Good. And that brings me to the next point. The fact that at the beginning, when the quarantine order was imposed on the state, it was clearly stated that there are essential workers. Essential because we believe they will provide essential services. Now, if you say they are essential and you've asked them to go to work, albeit under very difficult circumstances, transportation, police harassment, and a host of other things that have happened over the course of these 2 months, then you should expect that if they're going to be given that much, at the basic minimum, just let them have their full pay, which already is low. So the point I'm making is, apart from the fact that they were going to work, they are also being exposed to this. Let me explain this. We've asked everybody to quarantine because we don't want them to be exposed to the virus. Then we've asked these healthcare workers to go to work.
Oh.
What we've done is we have not just exposed them, but we've put them right in the place where this thing is happening. So I mean, at the basic minimum, if we motivate them.
But when
just
government
leave
was
them where
giving
they
its
are.
incentives here too, it gave to essential workers that you are, by upgrading 10,000, 5,000, 10, 15.
Okay, fine. Let me just explain that quickly.
Even with insurance that goes with
No, let me just
all of
explain.
this.
Let me just explain that. Thank you very much for that. There's high risks, medium risks, low risks, and then there's others. In the press release by the state government. Now, I can assure you that it is for a fact that healthcare workers that are working in and around the isolation centers have been paid incentives. Contrary to the widely publicized, it's not 450,000 naira per healthcare worker that is in the isolation center. It is between 150,000. Some got 150,000, low risks. Some got 300,000, that's medium risks. Then the high risk people, based on the classification that was used, got 450,000 naira. Those are the people at the isolation centers. Now, what we're seeing is the rest of the workforce was supposed to get 10% of their money after deducting 25%.
Oh.
So there's still a deficit of 15%. So for us, that is not incentivizing.
Oh.
It's I don't know what it is, but you have not incentivized them. So what we're even
Other
saying
sectors
is
are not getting that in any way.
no, nobody has received anything. And then even the insurance we're talking about, I'm only aware that people in the isolation centers, their details have been taken and submitted to insurance companies. So if you had planned to give other people insurance, all our details should be with the insurance company in the event of any eventuality. Nobody says, how insurance works. You have the package, you have the people listed with all their details, but it doesn't mean they're going to get anything until something happens. I don't know if you understand that. So really, we don't know. And so the point we're making is the insurance.
But that's motivational, right? It is.
Excellent if it cuts across. And the point we're even making is,
Are you saying that all these incentives is selective, so to say?
we don't have to use the word selective. Let me just explain this. The whole hue and cry is simply put, just pay health workers. They were not asking for anything more.
No.
All they are saying is, look, we're going to work, we're exposed to risks.
Full salary.
We are very happy that the people in the isolation centers are receiving the incentive and on insurance. Excellent move. But what we are saying is, when we make a good move, we now counter it with a bad move. The bad move is this: why not just simply pay the other healthcare workers that are going to work their full salaries? Why? Because they are also exposed to risks. I saw a narrative that the healthcare workers are asking that everybody should be classified as frontlines. No, it's because if you're going to give the people at the isolation centers some incentive, we are just trying to draw the attention of government that, look, the guys that are in the hospitals are even exposed to risk because these guys don't even know what they are meeting. The guys in the isolation center are usually kitted up and prepared going into it. The guys in the hospital, so if they are exposed to this amount of risks and they are having to work, why not just pay them their full salaries? Nothing more, nothing less. They are not asking for anything more.
Okay, Doctor, we'll have to go for a break, commercial break. We'll be back with you shortly. Welcome back. Is the program Perspectives this morning on Invicta 98.9. And this morning we're talking with representatives of the nurses, the pharmacists, other health workers in Kaduna State. Comrade Christina John Bauer, Secretary, Nigerian Labour Congress, Kaduna State, and Deputy General Secretary of National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives. I also have with me Dr. Stephen Akao Kashe, Chairman, Nigerian Medical Association, Kaduna State. Comrade, avenues. I'd like to, very obvious that we know that there is a government in Kaduna State, and you are also working for the government of Kaduna State. Right. I'm very sure about that. Employed under the government of Kaduna State.
Well, point of correction, I'm not under the...
Sorry, I should, okay. Maybe
I'm not under the payroll of Kaduna State.
Well, you're under union now, but before you became a unionist, you were also with the state government.
Those years back.
Well, okay, maybe I'll come, just get that, with what is happening. This is about unionism that is playing out here too, but I'm talking about workers, health workers in Kaduna State, employed by government of Kaduna State. And, so for that reason, the government of the state tells, gives directives on what it wants in the state, right? And it says that all civil servants in the state under its employment would have to have a 25% cut. That cuts across. That's very obvious. What you are doing is that you've workers under your union is what the concern here. But let me ask you this very, very obvious question about settling issues, and that's about dialogue. That we come to a table and bring out our differences and find ways to. Have you exhausted all avenues to do this?
Like I said earlier on, we sent our communique out, and we wrote a letter to His Excellency conveying our own our position and ultimatum, 21 days ultimatum. That letter was sent. We were not invited.
Have you asked for invitation to meet with government officials? This is the letter you're talking about now.
Collective bargaining, my brother. In collective bargaining, you write whichever way, whether the government or the union, you table your grievances. When you table your grievances, the government now is the one that set the machinery rolling by setting up a committee and asking you as the labor leaders to bring your own committee to meet. I remember on Thursday we met with the Honorable Commissioner of Health. And in that meeting, I think one of us suggested that, look, why not the commissioner set a committee representative of the government, then we will now bring our representative. Then let us look at this issue. What is there? And you see, even this incentive, my brother, if where things are done normal, we know it's government position, but sometimes to carry it, the unions, the professionals along, so that they will be able to give you some advice. It's not necessary that you take the advice, but at least it will be on record that they have guided you, because nobody knows it all. So what we are saying is, if the government, even in the collective bargaining too, in negotiation, in the joint council, there is this tripartite meeting between the government and the union representative. It's supposed to be held quarterly. During those meetings, the union will bring their issues. The government representative is always chaired by the head of service, and they will look at those issues. You will see that in the state, you will not be having problem. But in Kaduna here, I don't remember any union that have written to His Excellency as a chief executive of the state that has even met with the union. He look at us as people who does not even exist where he is. But you see the least person you are seeing that is a non-entity in the street. If you don't even carry him along, sometimes he will cause wahala for you. But we are not causing wahala for him. We are saying that the right of our members should be given.
Dr. Stephen, again, I'll still come back to say that health workers under Kaduna State employment will still have their allegiance to the government of the state. And so here we have a situation where government can give directives that its workers, no matter what sector, must come to work. And of course, it will be left for choice here to be made whether you want to go with what the union had said or what the government of the state, your employer, has asked for. Now, we are also looking at what may play out here because there's confusion out there. Is it to go with the union, what the union wants, or is it to go with what government wants in this? So playing it out and finding solutions to this, just help me out on this.
Okay, thank you very much. First, let me make a clarification. The government did not say they are deducting salaries of workers in Kaduna State, including healthcare workers.
Court. You just said court.
No, the government said it is compulsory donation.
Yes, government directive.
No. When you say compulsory donation, they are mutually exclusive. Compulsory and donation cannot go together. It is either a donation or a compulsory deduction. So that when you are...
It is a compulsory deduction.
A compulsory deduction.
Yes,
beautiful, but
that's
that
what
is... It is a compulsory... Oh, thank you for clarifying it. Because what I heard is compulsory...
Oh, that's what I think it is.
Donation. Okay, and they are mutually exclusive. Okay, now having said that, honestly, I honestly don't know how to put it, but the aim here really is not to flex muscles or to do anything. It's to draw attention. Let me explain that.
This strike is part of drawing attention?
Yeah. Let me explain that.
And you also know the implications and
let me explain
all of that.
This strike action is not even being enforced by anybody. As soon as, to answer your question as to who your allegiance is with, simply put, people are frustrated. I mean, this should tell the people that people are frustrated. Nobody is asking them not to even go to work.
Are you telling them to go to work?
The hospitals are
No, we're not asking them to go to work, but we've asked them to stay at home. But the point I'm making is you don't even need to go and say, don't go. People are sincerely frustrated. People are not happy. And I don't know how else. We have tried, contrary to the opinion that healthcare workers
are you working for the interest of your members, so to say?
And of the general public.
And so the deaths that will be recorded in this warning strike that
unfortunately,
you are on, and with this situation that we have on ground.
Unfortunately, even with an unmotivated workforce, deaths will still happen. And deaths were happening.
The level, the gravity of it, can just be imagined.
Can we now say that the admonition should go to both parties?
Of course.
We want settlement in all of
exactly.
this.
So the point we are making is the healthcare workers, what they're asking for is not unreasonable. Let me explain that. They are simply asking for their salaries because they are working.
But I'm just asking, why this time? Where the whole world
why do we have to take away 25% of healthcare workers' salary
now,
at this time? Why?
When others are encouraging.
It said it cuts across. That's what it said. It did not say that...
okay, can we just ask everybody to stay at home and then pay them some 5% of their salary?
You're not government.
So the point we are making is, no, we are not saying we are government. Let me explain that.
Yeah.
The point we are making is, if I were to have some form of rational thinking, and I'm going to do something and I want to be fair, I would look at the issues. I'm not treating anybody specially. I've already treated them specially by asking them to go to work while every other person remains at home.
Yes.
And by doing that, I've exposed them to more risks. Let me explain this. If I were to be at home,
not only them
just lying down with my family, I'm not exposed to any other person, my chances of contracting the virus will be reduced. That's the essence of the quarantine. Now, if you've asked me to even go out, if I'm not going to go out and go to a hospital, my chances of contracting the virus are even less. But if I'm going to go out and have to be in a hospital and have to make contact with patients and with secretions from these patients, what you've simply done is you've removed me from a point of safety to harm's way. Now, the least you can do for me is to just pay me my salary.
It's about money.
It's all about money.
It's not about money.
I mean, that's what you're asking for.
It's not all about money.
Okay, what else will it be about?
I'm talking about what else would it be apart from the sacrifice?
When you say sacrifice, I honestly don't understand.
That will have to do with the money thing that we're talking about. It's all part of sacrifice to this situation, this period.
So, okay,
can we take sacrifice to market?
Let me just come back. Let me just draw attention to something. That I'm a healthcare worker does not mean I'm a slave. If every worker in Kaduna has been asked to stay home,
We too want.
Can we have everyone stay at home and just pay them 75% of their money?
Yes.
But if you've recognized the fact that I have to do something for you and for the populace at a much higher risk for me, I'm not asking you to give me anything more. Just pay me my salary in full. Because I've had to do
salary.
Look,
Salary.
for
Tony,
every
see,
salary.
when there is war and the army are on war, they will send our troops to other countries for peacekeeping. Their salary is intact, and yet they are on allowances for the days and the years they will be there. So this time around, with this COVID-19, we are on war, and the soldiers, the foot soldiers on this war are the healthcare.
Okay, I just quickly like to go to the audience because I have to hear more from you into this. I mean, this conversation. Your thoughts, what your thoughts are about the face-off with government and health workers in the state. Let's get to hear more. Constructive too, and please be mindful and let's be civil with our language here. And so numbers to call to be part of this program: 081 40989, 081 40989, or 070 87 989, 070 87 989. Take your calls now. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kayalade.
Good morning.
Good morning to your guest.
All right, your name and where you're calling from.
Thank you.
This is Chief Amuteko Obuni, the caller
All
from
right.
Kaduna.
Okay, just straight to the point, please.
Mr. Kayalade, how your guest has spoken my mind. And it's very, very unfortunate that we have those kind of our parents sacrificing their lives and the life of their families to work for the state government that refuse to even pay them their pennies. It's very, very unfortunate. Mr. Kayalade, do you know how much this Kaduna state has made in this COVID-19 that they cannot even close
How much
eyes?
do you know that they have made, Chief Amotekun?
Mr. Kayalade, we are no longer chief.
So how much do you think they have made? Please, I call for civility.
You know how much they are, excuse me, you are not in financial of the state government budget.
You probably know what I do not know. I'm asking you how much you think the government has made in this COVID-19 field.
They buy a hospital card. This money, where are they going from the nurses for the doctor? And all this money, why I'm saying this is that
Okay,
any man that
money made.
wants,
I got you, Chief Amotekun. Money was made in this period. Okay, so I'm still taking your calls. Still with your calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you.
Please.
Your name,
comment
please.
Is that
Your name, please.
my name is Fatima Sadiq from Naria.
Okay, Fatima Sadiq. Let's hear you.
Please, I want to draw the attention of state government. Somebody that is risking his life to go and save other people. We have a lot of things to contribute into the life of that person. These people are very important in our society. We should not take them for granted. We should give them what they demand for. And they are not even asking for much. This is what they're supposed to be giving. If you work, you should supposed to be paid for what you have done. They should pay their full salary.
Okay. All right, Fatima. Okay, we got you on that. I'll go for another call. Hello, good morning.
hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Mr. Wale from Kao.
From Kao?
From Kao.
All right, Wale, let's hear you.
Please, whenever there is an issue like this, I don't think Nigerians should be calling.
I have a problem with that line.
They have done excellently well. Excellently well.
Okay, well, another call, right? Hello, good morning.
Good morning, the Olorian sir.
Good morning.
My name is Bala. I'm calling from Vaigi Villa.
Okay, Bala, let's hear you.
Sir, to be honest with you, we are in a war with a pandemic. You can imagine before now, our elite, they do travel out common vitamin C. You understand? But now they cannot move because even where they are going to,
They are not safe here. So, and they are the people that bastardize all the necessary PVEs that their health workers are asking for. Can a military man go to a war without a rifle or a bulletproof? Sir, we should ask ourselves little question. What is governance? If you are governing your people without protecting their lives, everybody will die. Then who will you govern? You say we should sacrifice. Are they at least sacrificing? They go around in bulletproof cars where
you're digressing here. Bala, you're digressing here. Just hit it at the head. Yeah. You're with the health workers for the demands to be met.
You understand? Yeah.
Okay.
It's good. It's good. We should give them all what they ask. Safety first in everything we are doing. You understand? When you are safe, then you can govern people. You understand? What is the sacrifice? The sacrifice is let their pay not be paid. That is why they are doing that job. That is where they survive.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So you must survive before you work.
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
We should advocate, we should draw the attention of our government, let them encourage Nigerians to sacrifice for the work.
Okay. All right. I got you, Bala. All right. I'll come back to you. You had all of them, and I think they are on your side. And maybe I should be asking this time, after addressing the callers there, the questions that in this period of sacrifice, what are you giving into this? You're worried that your pay should be left untouched, and so probably be asking what would be your own sacrifice into this.
Okay, thank you very much for asking that question. From the beginning, when we had the rumor that there was going to be a 25% salary deduction for workers across the state, we quickly approached the Honorable Commissioner for Health and said, for this reason, for that reason, for the other reason, it may not be a good idea to also include healthcare workers in this. And we explained why. We felt, look, it had the capacity to demoralize already stretched healthcare workers that were, demotivated at the least. And so, but we said, look, we also buy into this idea that the state government should give palliatives to the citizenry. And the healthcare workers said, well, we have looked at it. Can we give 5% of our salaries in the month of April? And then the purported incentives that the state government was planning to give the healthcare workers for that month of April, can we put it together with the 5% of healthcare workers' salaries as our donation to the palliative fund so that this money can reach out to the people? But we know the story. It never happened. We're where we are today. Deductions were done in April. Deductions have been done in the month of May. Now, what we're seeing is because most health workers, you won't believe it, we don't have enough personal protective equipment in the hospitals. And healthcare workers have had to use money from their pockets to buy these things to protect themselves. I'm a surgeon. I've operated a number of cases within this period. I've had to buy what we call the elbow length glove to do my surgeries because they were in short supply. The point where I honestly feel that maybe people really don't understand the mind of the healthcare worker. You won't believe it. Your first instinct is to want to save your patient in a situation.
That's true.
I personally have paid monies for patients to get care. I will be the one providing the treatment I've paid. I've paid for investigations. We've put money together as healthcare workers in the wards to pay for patients' treatment. It's not a problem, really. But honestly, I can't wrap my head around it. I mean, you have a group of people that you hope will die for you. Is it difficult to just keep them motivated? I mean, by not just doing anything, just pay their salaries. It would have been excellent if they would pay them the 100% salary and pay them the 10% that was promised by the state government. My God, we'll be in the forefront of singing the praises of this government to high heavens. Honestly, and I mean it. The package in itself, if you look at it in isolation, it's an excellent package. But if you put other factors vis-a-vis the deduction of 25%, then it becomes the motivation. And let me put it on record. As of today, the 10% that was even promised to the others has not been paid. But let me also put it on record that the people that are working in the isolation centers have been paid. And we commend the government for that. We commend the government for the incentives, for the insurance package. Excellent. If only we are paying these people their full salaries. So
the 25% is a grouse with government.
Yes.
25% is our grouse.
Yes.
And the PPs. Now, we are aware that people have had to resort to self-help in the circumstance that, look, they still have to see patients. So all we're asking for is, the 25% shouldn't even have been an issue. We are not supposed to be talking about 25% now if the right thing was done.
Okay, Comrade Christiana, let me put it here. It's a warning strike, right, that you're embarking on, that you're on with. If you do not get favorable response from government, what next?
We are not praying to reach that bridge. But when we get to that bridge, we will surely cross it. But we are not praying. We are not praying for the sake of the citizen of Kaduna State.
Okay, let me squeeze in one or two calls before we bring it to a close. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my Lord.
Good morning.
Good morning, you are just there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Kure, yeah,
Kure.
so,
Okay.
honestly, I began to imagine the way our governor should cut these people 25% of salary. They are the same people. Either they are the one or they are colleagues. They are the people that treated him. So I'm surprised to have that the Excellency say that under must, or they must cut their salaries so that what of the money that the companies have been contributing to them? What are they doing with it? I was even expecting that their salaries should be transferred now, simply because they sacrifice themselves.
Okay, Kure, we got you.
And do service to
all right, Kure, we got you on that.
Yes,
we got you on that. I'll just squeeze in another call, then I'll get to hear the last lines from our guest. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Hassan Danladi from Igasa.
Okay, Hassan, let's hear you.
Yeah, I am a teacher, but seriously, I am in solidarity with the health workers of Kaduna State.
So,
why? Because we teachers, we stay at home, but these people, they go to work, facing different hazards, and yet the government is cutting their 25% salary. I think there is no justification in that.
okay, Hassan, we got you. All right, we got you, Hassan, and then my last caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Please, this is Jimo speaking from Amazu.
Okay, Jimo. All right.
Yes, please. My major concern is this. You see, these health workers. What I want to know is, we have federal government health workers, and we have state government health workers, and we have local government health workers. Please, what is the health hazard allowance of federal government workers, then health hazard allowance of state government workers, and then health hazard allowance of local government workers? Please. Then secondly, when we talk of voluntary, when we talk of compulsory donation, yes, when we look at the analysis of that statement, compulsory, and then you say donation. But then when we say donation, it has to be something that is coming willingly. Are you hearing me?
I'm with you.
Hello, are you hearing me?
I'm following.
Yes. When we say donation, it has to be something that people are willing to do, not something you enforce on them. When you enforce a donation on people, it is no longer a donation. It is enforced donation. Because they don't have the power to dictate their salary.
But you are forcing what you are. It is an enforcement. It is not. That is, you can no longer call that one a donation. And we are not in. In a dictatorship era. This is a democratically elected government. It has to be something that has to be agreed by. It has to be. It has to be something that is agreed upon by all the health workers, not some people to just sit down somewhere and say, let's all do this, and then it is done.
Okay,
it is wrong.
All right,
that
Jimo.
is no longer a donation.
We got you on that.
That is it.
Comrade Christiana, and let's get to hear you on this and your last line too.
Well, we are calling on we really want to appreciate the public because we have public sympathy. And we want to thank our members, teaming members, whom we have given directives to stay at home. They've not disappointed us because in some cases they will be going to the hospital despite the threat of opening of register and sack. They are still resolute. They have decided to remain at home. We are praying that this effort that they have put will not go without us achieving our aim. We are praying that the government should come to the round table with the union representatives so that we can reach a resolution so that the further full-blown strike will not see the light of the day.
Okay, and Dr. Stephen here.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to also appreciate the general public, and I want to call also on well-meaning individuals in society to wade into the matter. I don't think we should have elders in the society that watch this go bad. I believe it's something that can be sorted out. We're calling on government. The healthcare workers are not averse to this government. They actually are supportive of this government and want to support this government. I believe that we can work together. I believe that we can sort out these issues. I believe that this is not a problem that cannot be solved.
Okay. And that will just be about the size of it. Perspectives this morning. Comrade Christiana John Bauer, Secretary, Nigerian Labour Congress, Kaduna State, and Deputy General Secretary of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives. And also with me in the studio is Dr. Stephen Akau Kashi. He is the Chairman, Nigerian Medical Association, Kaduna State. All my guests this morning on the program Perspectives. I'd like to thank you, Highness, for giving us contact and connecting us with the people. Wisdom, thank you for putting us in the pictures. We'll come back with Perspectives tomorrow. Have a good day.